I was surrounded, facing Aaron while others mocked me. But with composed mind activated, I stayed calm. This was my moment to prove I was no longer the same. Aaron tried to mock me, but it was useless. Everything slowed down, and I saw his every move. I was ready to strike. Leon stepped in, thinking he was still superior. As we fought, my body and mind aligned, and I knew it was only a matter of time before I took control. I countered Leon's attacks effortlessly. His disbelief grew as I overpowered him. My strength was growing, and he was the first to feel it. When Leon thought he had the upper hand, I struck fast and precise using heightened senses. He was done for. With a final blow, Leon collapsed. I wasn't the weakling I once was. I had gained control, and I was no longer fighting to survive. I was in charge. I faced the next group of students, focused and sharp. They were no match for me. I had come far from the weak kid I used to be. The fight continued, but I had no fear. With each strike, I grew closer to my true potential. I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. By the end, I stood victorious. My enemies lay defeated, and I knew I was no longer fighting for survival. I was fighting to be the best. Zeke, after wiping sweat off his face, confidently tells his opponents to stop eyeing him and challenges them, to come down if they have something to say. He selects an opponent for Pancratione, stating, "I choose you," and is met with a dismissive response from his challenger. Zeke remarks that one opponent is boring, while preparing for a more interesting battle with the others. Liam Stone steps forward, and Zeke prepares for an intense showdown. Jaqen Vardek sarcastically agrees to the fight. Zeke threatens his opponent, declaring, "I'll beat you to death," while his adversary responds casually, preparing for the clash. The fight begins with both opponents bracing for impact, the air thick with anticipation. Zeke, unfazed by a feint, stands strong and invites his opponent to face him together. The battle intensifies, and Zeke counters his opponent's trick, refusing to back down. Zeke delivers a decisive blow, pushing forward with determination as the fight continues. The battle intensifies as Zeke takes a swift and calculated approach. With a smirk, he warns, "You should have looked properly before kicking," mocking his opponent's earlier attack. His opponent, a young fighter, stumbles, realizing too late that his kick missed its target. The fighter begins to lose his composure. Zeke's smirk grows as he taunts, "You're looking away." His confidence is unshaken as he dodges yet another feeble strike. He continues to humiliate his foe, emphasizing the critical mistake of not being able to predict his feint. "This is why I told you to come together," he says with a smirk as the fight shifts in his favor. Zeke, not letting up, continues his assault with an unrelenting barrage of strikes. His opponent's attempts to counter only result in further humiliation. With an air of finality, Zeke tells him, "You alone aren't enough." The once confident opponent, now gritting his teeth, urges his ally to intervene, but it's too late. The fight is already spiraling out of his control, and he can't keep up with Zeke's brutal efficiency. Zeke's attacks rain down on him as he contemplates the strength of his opponent's physicality, something Zeke himself can barely believe. "Damn, my body was trash when I was young," he thinks to himself as he presses on. As the dust of battle settles, Zeke's opponent is still struggling to keep up. "Aren't you a little too scared?" Zeke jabs, further irritating the young fighter, who continues to flail helplessly in his attempts to match Zeke's power. But then Zeke himself experiences a brief moment of struggle as he realizes his opponent's endurance. "This guy," he mutters, acknowledging the strength of his opponent's will. Zeke's opponent, Liam Stone, finally brings out his true strength, pushing his body to the limit. The energy of battle intensifies as Zeke presses forward with a fierce resolve. Zeke's fists glow with an ominous energy as he launches, his attacks with devastating force. He activates his skill slash, and the battlefield becomes a blur of slashing power as his energy surges. The onlookers are stunned as they watch Zeke's unprecedented power. "Insane," they mutter, barely able to process the level of strength he is unleashing. Meanwhile, Zeke doesn't slow down. His glowing fists strike with deadly precision, leaving his opponent scrambling to defend. He thinks to himself, "I now see how strong your body is. I'll take you down through your guard," focusing intently on breaking through Liam's defense. The fight intensifies as Zeke Draker delivers a powerful attack, creating a burst of purple energy. His opponent, however, manages to dodge at the last second, narrowly avoiding a devastating strike. A mixture of surprise and admiration flickers across Zeke's face as he realizes the skill of his opponent. The battle grows more intense as the opponent activates a class skill, heightened senses, dramatically improving his reflexes and perception. His newfound abilities allow him to keep up with Zeke's rapid strikes, creating an exhilarating exchange of blows. The energy around them intensifies, and they seem to push their physical limits. Gasping for breath, the opponent struggles under Zeke's relentless attack, realizing that no matter how strong the body may be, it cannot function without oxygen. The impact of the battle has already begun to take a toll, but Zeke remains calm, pressing on with his assault. The tension escalates as the two fighters continue to exchange brutal strikes. Zeke seems unfazed while his opponent begins to struggle more, looking exhausted. The gap between their abilities grows clearer as Zeke prepares for a final blow, determined to bring the fight to an end. As they fight, Zeke, now fully aware of his opponent's strength, continues to press forward, showing no hesitation. He finally delivers a decisive strike, determined to overwhelm the opponent's defense. The young master is in the process of a thorough checkup after his intense fight. His servant Decker is concerned about his condition and insists on checking his pulse. Suspecting the awakening of Zeke's aura, Decker then activates his own aura to assess the situation, probing Zeke's aura thoroughly. It becomes clear that Zeke's abilities are impressive. Decker wonders if Zeke could be a Blue Knight, as he exhibits remarkable control over his aura, something only skilled knights achieve. Zeke's skills go beyond the basic training and hint at a potential beyond Blue Knight status. It is implied that Zeke is growing closer to this higher level. Zeke's thoughts and the system interface reveal his awareness of his progression. He notes that with his increasing proficiency in skills like Slash, he is closer to mastering his abilities. However, Zeke is unsure if using the skills directly impacts their level. Finally, as Decker leaves, Zeke reflects on his own evolution. He prepares for the challenges ahead. The protagonist begins to process the unusual abilities he's now gaining. As he ponders over his skills, he notes that the system's features are activated automatically based on his actions, such as the Draconian skill becoming accessible. He wonders whether this new skill is different from class skills and what impact it might have. He also starts to understand that monsters, which he can defeat to earn karma points, are linked to dungeons, places where knights refine their skills and grow stronger. He wonders about his own regressed state, speculating that it could be related to an ancient relic. But his understanding remains fragmented. As he continues to practice with his abilities, he observes the two main powers in the world, aura and mana. Aura is linked to the knights, who use it to reinforce their blades, while mages handle mana differently through circles. He reflects on his own limitations, unable to access both the Dantean and circle systems, which he feels is a cruel fate. His training intensifies, and although it's only been a short time, he feels the strain on his body. He activates his healing and recovery skills, wondering how they might help him during such rigorous training. He realizes these skills are rare, and using them openly could mark him as an irregular, which might lead to complications. However, he continues, determined to push through the pain and grow stronger, knowing that only through perseverance can he reclaim the strength he once had. As the narrative shifts to a week later, Zeke is becoming more known, and rumors swirl around the cafeteria. His recent actions have led others to speculate about his mysterious transformation. Among them is Owen Zimmons, who engages in playful banter about Zeke's potential in the upcoming duels. Though some mock him, there's a growing sense that Zeke is far from the weakling others once thought him to be. Zeke is called to the arena by his opponent, Reyna Tarun. Zeke stands in the middle of the arena while Reyna approaches confidently with her large claymore. She chooses Zeke as her opponent, and Zeke accepts the challenge, lifting his sword with determination. The fight begins, and Reyna moves quickly, attacking with swift and precise strikes. Zeke, shocked by her speed, reacts to block, but struggles to keep up with her strength. As the battle continues, Zeke realizes Reyna is much stronger than he expected, and the fight intensifies. He can sense the gaps in her technique. No matter how hard Reyna tries, Zeke continues to overpower her with ease. Even though she senses openings and gaps in his defense, her attacks are futile. Despite her best efforts, her sword can never quite reach him. It feels as though Zeke is toying with her, always staying one step ahead. Every time Reina attempts to strike, Zeke deliberately opens gaps, almost as if he's inviting her to attack. But no matter how fast she reacts or how precise her moves are, her sword never finds its target. Zeke is completely in control, and it becomes clear that he is not only outmatching her in strength, but also in his ability to read and predict her every move. Zeke continues to be in the intense battle with Reina. Zeke is now analyzing the situation and realizes that the sword duel he's engaged in is like a training duel meant to teach him. Despite his struggles, he is determined to keep fighting. Reina, however, proves to be a formidable opponent with her skills. Zeke starts fighting seriously, unleashing his full strength. Reina reacts quickly, evading his powerful strikes with speed and precision. The battle intensifies as Zeke no longer holds back, pushing Reina to her limits. Demonstrating the raw intensity of their combat, Zeke attempts to stay composed. Zeke throws away little stones to the face of the opponent, dealing a little shock to her. Once she turns the head on him, she sees a strong attack. Begin afraid that her head might get cut off, she uses aura and make Zeke's blade go off from his hand. The teachers at the academy are the only ones who notice Zeke's clever move. As the sword strikes towards Reina's throat, she activates her aura at the last moment, just in time to counter the blow. However, she is still shocked by the speed of the attack. Not stopping there, Zeke launches another assault, this time without his sword. He surprises everyone by landing a brutal punch directly to Reina's throat. With her sword lowered and her hand instinctively clutching her throat, Reina struggles to maintain control. The other students who are watching the match are appalled by this cheap move from Zeke. Despite this, Reina analyzes the situation and quickly realizes that if Zeke had a dagger, she would have been finished, unalived in that very moment. With Zeke now standing bare-handed and ready to continue, he challenges Reina to carry on the fight. But after processing everything, Reina acknowledges her defeat and concedes the match to Zeke, leaving him as the victor.